and something you said is really profound. And it's another tip that I want to give to all your listeners. So you said that it's a party in here, and that resonates, man, because when I graduated, so I graduated pharmacy school in 2012, and I'd be talking to people and I'd be like, how's your job? And they'd be like, oh, I have to go to work. I have to go to the pharmacy. I have to go and make my paycheck. Now, when you frame your job like that, do you think that's going to inspire you? So language is so important because it's not necessarily your experience. It's how you label the experience is how it becomes the experience. So I got innovative. Instead of calling it, I'm going to pharmacy, I call it, I'm going to club pharmacy because we're going to have a party up in here. For real, I've been doing this for years. Like that really caught on. That was like a national thing. I don't know if it still is. So that's how I framed it. And people look at me like I was nuts. They're like, wait, you work at a club? I thought you were a pharmacist. I'm like, no, I'm club pharmacy, yo. Like this is a party up in here. For real, I actually did this. And it caught people so off guard because it reframed what they believed their experience was going to be. Because think about this. You're working. You're going to work tomorrow. You either go to work or you go to club pharmacy. They're the same place, but which one's going to evoke a different vibe? Which one's going to evoke a different level of energy and how you're going to show up? I prefer to have a party because I'm going to be there anyway. So I'm going to have a good time and everyone's invited. Now there's some house rules. You got, all this stuff. So if you make it fun, you just change the language slightly. It's literally going to invite your staff, yourself, and your patients to not just go to the pharmacy, but to have an experience. And that's really what people are craving. They're craving experience through connection. And if you can create that, you will be exactly as you describe, the person people drive extra for because they want that culture. And yes, it really is that simple of just changing words, changing your questions. It's not blind optimism. I wanted to really drive this home. It's not just being positive. Because here's the thing you all have to hear, and I want to really sum it up with this. You might be feeling a certain way right now. You might be pumped, but here's the thing you got to know. I'm not a motivational speaker. If you want to get pumped up, go to the gym. I'm here to give you strategies that will actually help, but you have to hear me loud and clear. Motivation and inspiration do not cause transformation. Only action does that. So while you might hear things that sound good, it's not going to do jack unless you put it into practice. So that's my challenge. I hope you guys got a lot of value from this and from this awesome podcast that this dude's putting out for y'all. But I want to challenge you, just at least one thing you heard. I want you to think about, of all the stuff you heard here, what one thing are you going to implement in your life today, tomorrow? And I want to challenge you to take that one thing and implement it every day for at least 10 days in a row. Now, if it works, definitely don't go beyond 10 days. Stop at 10. But what I want to tell you is when you do this consistently, that's really the secret. We all think we have to do these intense things. If I want to get well, I'm going to go on a 2-week retreat in Bora Bora. That's not really practical, especially if you're in $200K in debt from school. So what can you do simply? It's not the intensity. This is what gets a lot of us tripped up. We think that in order to make change, we have to do intense things. It's consistency that trumps intensity. Consistency trumps intensity. And the most intense thing you can do is be consistent because no one does that craziness. So a podcast. Now, if you did an episode, March 1st and then April 9th and then April 15th, it's not consistent. You're not going to build an audience. You're not going to create an experience. But when you're consistent with your process, with whether it's a podcast, whether it's you listening and you're growing your development or your wellness or whatever that might be, it's consistency that is the answer. Again, we overcomplicate things. We're experts in this. I mean, how do you spell hydrochlorothiazide? I don't know. But for real, we do this stuff to ourselves all the time, but we have to give ourselves a dose of grace. Because here's another thing. We give grace to other people, but all too often we don't accept it for ourselves. Yeah. So when you really take this to heart and put it into practice, that's when your practice will change.